materialism, modernism, technological growth, greed. Seeing the immorality associated with these things, Roald Dahl wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a call for societal change. In the novel, Willy Wonka surprises the world by opening his factory to 5 lucky children. The first 4 represent the deadly sins as they prove their lack of ethics throughout the tour. Except for the 5th child, Charlie Bucket, all the children simply break the rules of the factory and are one by one severely punished and sent away. Dahl makes it clear that those seeking superficial happiness commit sins that ultimately result in punishment, as profound satisfaction can only be attained through imagination stemming from an inherent childlike innocence. When overwhelmed by materialistic desires influenced by modernism, people disregard their morality in an attempt to achieve satisfaction through worldly possessions in a capitalist economy. This is seen in the response to Wonka's economic success. All the other chocolate makers, you see, had begun to grow jealous, and they started sending in spies to steal the secret recipes. Dahl emphasizes the corruption caused by materialistic desires by victimizing Wonka as the other envious chocolate makers prey on him alone. Capitalism encourages aggression towards competitors, therefore leading to dishonesty as avarice overpowers morality. Its growing prominence affects not only businessmen, but everyday consumers as well, as seen in the frantic competitive search for the 5 golden tickets. These unethical attempts at attaining joy through wealth and luxuries are futile, as seen in Prince Pondicherry's foolish commission for a chocolate palace built by Wonka. Soon, the whole palace began to melt, and the crazy prince found himself swimming around in a huge brown sticky lake of chocolate. The situation displays the transience of material satisfaction and the ensuing struggle to cope with a life restricted by materialist obsessions, exaggerating the vices of the children touring Wonka's factory. Dahl draws attention to the deadly sins that result from the pervasive immorality of inhumane people. The children, except for Charlie, represent gluttony, envy, pride, and wrath. Augustus exemplifies gluttony as he uses his hands to drink out of the chocolate river, causing Wonka to cry, "Oh no! Please, Augustus, please, I beg of you not to do that. My chocolate must be untouched by human hands." Hands, which are used to grab material objects, implies greed and gluttony. Stopping at nothing in order to eat more and more, Augustus inconsiderately ignores Wonka's pleas, spoiling the chocolate just as humans naturally spoil anything good or pure when they ignore their consciences. When Wonka presents his trained squirrels to the remaining children, Veruca's greed inflames her envy towards Wonka, causing her to turn to her family's wealth as the means to fulfill her modernist desire for a trained squirrel. When her parents refuse, she imposes her wrath through acrimony. Later, Violet's acts of disobedience result in her body swelling up into a blueberry, and there was no saving her now. All that remained of Violet Beauregard herself was a tiny pair of legs and a tiny pair of arms and a little head. The swelling is a physical manifestation of Violet's pride, while the impossibility of her salvation emphasizes its dangers. Through the fact that only a small portion of Violet's body remains, Dahl drives to the point that excessive pride leads to the loss of humanity, just as all the sins do. Dahl illustrates how this loss of humanity, a result of capitulating to worldly temptations, inevitably leads to retribution in the form of disastrous situations and others' prejudice. According to Aleva, the factory is really a garden of temptations, where the first 4 kids succumb to their own bad characters and are picked off one by one in garish ways. After Mike TV gives in to his desires and disobeys Wonka by trying to travel through television, a tiny little voice came out of the television set. Mike's tiny little voice portrays how his obsession with television has rotted his mind, resulting in the insignificance of his thoughts to others. He even loses the common sense to keep himself safe and is ironically punished by what he loves most, television. In the inventing room, Wonka introduces his latest invention, the 3-course gum. This tempts Violet into disobedience as it draws in on her obsession with superiority in gum chewing. Suddenly, before Mr. Wonka could stop her, she shot out a fat hand and grabbed the stick of gum. Violet's greed and insatiability, implied by fat hand, allow her arrogance to prevail and cause her to insolently disregard Wonka's instructions. This leads to her transformation into a blueberry. After witnessing the punishment, Wonka says, "We've got to squeeze the juice out of her immediately. After that, we'll just have to see how she comes out." The juice symbolizes Violet's disrespect and pride, which is squeezed out of her through punishment, while the apathy expressed by Wonka insinuates how any problems that remain do not evoke pity from others in society. Dahl explained that nastiness is never gratuitous, it's retribution. Beastly people must be punished. Children untainted by the corruption of adulthood best exemplify how innocence preserves an active conscience while leading to greater hope and confidence in achieving one's dreams through the encouragement of a youthful imagination. Through this childlike innocence, people may achieve true satisfaction without needless immorality and punishment. Although the whole Bucket family struggles to survive, Dahl describes only Charlie's poor state. His face became frighteningly white and pinched. The skin was drawn so tightly over the cheeks that you could see the shapes of the bones underneath. Using white furthers Charlie's purity and innocence, while pinched reflects the hardships he faces. Symbolized by bones underneath, Charlie's perseverance and strong sense of morals are made prominent by these hardships, strengthening Dahl's glorification of children who are untainted by the restrictions and corruption of adulthood. When Wonka excitedly displays his square candies that look round, the salts object, only seeing square candies due to their lack of imagination. In response, Wonka says, "My dear old fish, go and boil your head." His exclamation implies that Mrs. Salt's mind is worthless and incapable like that of a fish because of her inability to visualize Wonka's candies. She represents most adults in society who have been influenced by the loss of integrity in others and are lacking in imagination, displaying how the absence of these pervasive qualities limits one's possibilities. It is this display of creativity through his inventive, extraordinary desserts that drives Wonka to fame and allows him to create his magical, brilliant chocolate factory, surpassing what any chocolatier has done in the past. Due to industrial progress, new generations are becoming dependent on technology, continuously purchasing new products in an attempt to keep up with popular trends. Before technological materialism becomes prevalent, mankind must be wary of the consequent conflicts that impede societal improvement. In a world filled with temptations, one must stride forth in actualizing one's dreams with an unyielding imagination enhanced by childlike innocence.